Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for another episode of Master Phil in your corner with your host, Master Phil.
All right. So, Master Phil here with Master Phil in your corner with my partner in crime here on Undefeated Media Studios with Dougie Fresh Friedman.
Yes, sir.
Boy, we got quite a show today.
I know you do.
Oh yeah, we're gonna press some buttons. We're gonna raise some questions, and we're gonna put it out to the audience and see what they have to say about this. And if there aren't any psychologists in the audience today, please feel free to contact us. But prior to us getting into the material today, I just want to discuss a couple of our sponsors. And all the links to the sponsors are located right in our comments section. So first is the Tactical Brotherhood. This is pretty cool. They're brand new. Just got hooked up with them about 2 weeks ago. And they have all kinds of cool decals, stickers, shirts, hats, paraphernalia, about, if you're into, your Second Amendment rights, you're into freedom and so forth. This is the place to go. They got some really, really cool swag and cool decals you can stick on your pickup truck, just like I have on mine. It's really awesome. I love it. So Tactical Brotherhood, definitely want to check them out. Mm-hmm. Also, if you need kettlebells, videos, books, anything like that, click on the link for dragondoor.com. I am going to be doing a Ross reviews on the kettlebells shortly. And, these kettlebells are the best there are.
Nice. They
really are. I mean, they're machined properly. The coatings are awesome. The size range is completely encompassing, all from the smallest to the largest bells. They really can't compare to the Dragon Door bell. The RKC Dragon Door bell is awesome. So if you want to get any of those, and also the Neuro Grip, another item I will be reviewing, you can find them on this website as well. And then the Body Bell Method. Go to bodybellmethod.com. We have 2 new events scheduled. We have one at the Gotham Strength, located in New York City, and that's going to be on September 12th, I believe. I'll be posting more of that in the next couple of weeks. The next week or two should be up and on our social media links and so forth, and we'll be repping that. And then we have another one in the first weekend in October in Waldwick at Odyssey Athletic Club. So we have 2 of those booked. We're giving the whole thing a new look. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on. And I mean, if you are a NACE, a NASM or an ACE trainer, almost put the 2 of them together, called a NACE trainer. So if you are a NASM or ACE certified trainer and you need your CEUs, those are your continuing education credits, be sure to take one of these courses, because you can get anywhere from 7 to 9 credits, depending upon the course you take.
Awesome.
Yeah. With levels 1 and 2, with NASM are 8 and 9 credits respectively. And ACE, I believe, 7 and 8 for the continuing education credits. And then, of course, we have philross.com. Go to our philross.com/training, and you can register for in-person class in Waldwick, New Jersey, or you can engage in our virtual options as well. So we have several virtual options, whether it be the Kettlebell Workout Library, the American Eagle Live, Survival Strong. That's all there. You can also get the certifications online too. The level 1 is available online, but not level 2 yet.
So there's no excuse.
0.0. Wow. Yes, there's no excuse.
No excuse.
And then we also have the SAS training group. Go to
Absolutely.
sastraininggroup.com. Our group focuses on providing training to both law enforcement and civilian sectors. Over 90% of our team is made up of law enforcement professionals. So I'm pretty much the only instructor that's not a law enforcement professional there on the team. And it's over 50, and these law enforcement professionals and over 50% of the current active duty law enforcement. Our knowledge comes from firsthand experience and decades of expertise in the field. And the portion that I'm heavily involved in is, of course, the defensive tactics with the Leo Less Than Lethal program.
Yeah.
So we're putting it out there. So get involved. Time to get involved.
Absolutely.
Hey, listen, you got to learn how to protect yourself. And, if you're a law enforcement officer, you should definitely be involved in one of our programs to get this additional training, which can help save your life and someone else's.
Awesome. Making a difference multiple ways, Master
Yes.
Phil.
Hey, listen, this is what we're here for, right? Making a positive difference.
Absolutely.
And the subject that we're going to tap today,
Mhm.
It's kind of tough to position it right, but I may ruffle a few feathers, but hey, you know what? That's what we're all about. We're raising questions.
Mhm.
You want to question the status quo when the status quo doesn't seem to be working too well.
True.
Okay. It's been all over the headlines, and it's kind of funny because I recently did my little feature I do, the Hanging with Jorge, where I do that. I'm doing some live Instagrams with that, and I talked about failure. Because everybody thinks that everybody's successful all the time. You see somebody up there, like let's take Michael Jordan, for example. You see Michael Jordan, right?
Mhm.
To me, he's the GOAT, the GOAT, the greatest basketball player of all time. Okay.
Mhm.
This is a guy who got cut from his varsity basketball team, and then he strives hard, worked hard, and as a junior made the team. This is Michael Jordan. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Now, he winds up going to NC State, does a phenomenal job there, and then goes to the Bulls and wins 6 championships there. The guy brought everyone up around him. When he didn't feel good, what did he do? He still did it. I mean, there was one game where he had like 104 fever, had the flu, and yet he went out there and played. I mean, the day his father died, right? They said, "Oh, you're going to play?" No, he went out there and played. He was very upset, but he went out there and played and had one of his best games ever. It might have been his best game ever. It's about compartmentalizing and putting these things in perspective. Some people say, well, he's a hero, this, that, and the other thing. Well, I think he's just the greatest of all time. I don't know if someone can be considered a hero for doing a sport, but you can learn a lot from someone who competes in sport and perseveres, because that's what sport's all about. They're about achieving a level that you couldn't prior, and about your perseverance, your dedication, whether it's to the sport itself, whether it's to your team, whether it's a combination of the two. These things are incredibly important to life. Heck, if I don't feel like, I don't want to work this month. I don't think I'm going to pay my bills. Okay. Now, am I a hero for that? Should I be heralded for that? Or it's like, no, this is not what you do. You have to suck it up. Okay. So which kind of brings me to our subject today. And, everybody knows what's going on with the Olympics. So Simone Biles, I think she's phenomenal. She is an incredible athlete. She does things I couldn't even dream about doing, as most people can't even fathom. And, at that extremely high level, I did, somebody was posting about this on LinkedIn, and, I did say, look, at this extremely high level, people do have to realize that if you're off like 1 millimeter, this could be it. I mean, you see the way she spins and flips and everything, right? If I do like 1/10 of that, you better call 911, because there'll be body parts strewn all over the place. I can't do that. There's other things I'm much better at, more adept at, but what she does is not one of them, and certainly, not at that incredibly high level. But the only issue that I really have here is and it's not an issue with her. I have deepest empathy for her because listen, being a very competitive athlete like she is incredibly high level world stage, so forth. She's expected to be at this level, right? And if she isn't, I'm sure that that she may get ridiculed. I don't know. It may tarnish her image, and she just may have tarnished her image right now. I have no idea. But I have some humorous ideas that she could probably spin off of this with. Maybe we'll put them in. Of course, someone will probably take that sound bite and make me into this horrible person that I have no empathy or something. So I want to make sure that everybody knows I do have empathy for this athlete, Simone. I mean, hey, she's a person too. She's not just a robot out there, doing these movements. But what my concern is, what happened on the way up to this? Again, we don't know. It could be something physical. Hey, maybe she has vertigo. Maybe they call it the twisties in gymnastic. Because you think, as anybody, being martial arts and doing jumping spin kicks and tornado kicks and things like that. Hey, you know what? You can get kind of dizzy, right? You do a bunch of those in a row, and you see the way, how many flips, turns, hops, jumps, spins is she doing in a row? I mean, if you imagine being 1 millimeter off, what's going to happen? You're gonna wipe out. Maybe she wasn't feeling it. I don't know. Maybe there was something wrong.
What if we even we took a step back? Yeah. Look at the basketball team. Why isn't LeBron playing? Why isn't Steph Curry there? Do we not I just feel like the passion and the heart for this kind of stuff is kind of coming to the wayside.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that, you mentioned these two guys, they're professional athletes. Okay. And maybe they just don't want to represent the United States of America.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you look
and honestly, they're free to do that.
Yeah.
And I respect that. And I'll tell you what, I respect that they're not phonies. I respect that more than someone who's going to wear a USA jersey, represent us, and kneel. I respect them for saying, "Hey, you know what?
Okay,
I don't.
My point too is Isaiah Thomas. I think this is the whole Isaiah thing where he wasn't brought into the dream team because he had beef with some players or whatever, and he would do anything to be part of that dream team, right? I feel like we don't have that passion. This is the you're representing your country in the Olympics. I feel like, oh yeah, I was in the Olympics. It's not as
well, yeah. It's funny because if you look at the difference between the 2016 and the 2020, 2021 Olympics, whatever you want to call them, there's a bunch of social things I believe that happened after 2016, starting with Kaepernick on forward, and I think that many athletes have pulled away from supporting the USA. I mean, this is what I see. I see it, in the NBA, the NFL, the MLB. I see this. So maybe, hey, look, and honestly, if they don't want to, fine, I respect that.
Okay, but we're not even going to another country to represent. I feel like winning gold doesn't have the amount of weight it does now than it does before.
Yeah,
you would do anything in your power. Right. What's her name? I'm sure this is on your list of things to talk about. What's her name? Who broke her leg 15 years ago? And then she did it, and then was carried off to the stand.
And she never did gymnastics again too. She got ruined, and that was because her coach kind of ripped into her and said, "You go out there again." I have an issue with that because you know what, the safety of the athlete. And look, I've had to pull people off a mat before, and they didn't want me to, but I had to pull them off the mat or out of the ring. Why? Because I thought that they were going to get hurt as a coach. I'm not going to agree with that. I forget that coach's name, but I honestly ruined her career. I'm not going to agree with that. But the thing that I'm talking about, you see, we have, and look, I don't know if one's a cause, one's an effect, or how they affect each other. But this is why I'm raising this question. And the thing that I want to put out there is this. Now, on our teams right now, there are psychologists. Every team has their own psychologists. They've like tripled the number or something. They did a little expose on it. How much psychology they're using on these athletes. Is it too much? Is it the right? Are they saying the right things?
So you're saying because I don't want to say baby, but because we're being so delicate with it that it's making it, it's like when a kid, falls,
right,
and you say, "Get up, you're okay." He doesn't cry, but if you say, "Oh, you're okay," instantly cry.
Exactly. See, this is what I'm saying. This is I think this is what's happening, and I'm seeing it more and more now. I don't have a problem with what she did. Look, if she knew that she wasn't going to compete at a level that would help her team, or risk injury, like a serious injury, hey, you know what? Bow out. I respect that. But the fact that she's being heralded as a hero or hurled for bravery, for bowing out, I don't really know if you can consider that, Okay,
to me, it's like you're not rewarding mental toughness.
Right.
You're rewarding, I don't know.
You're
trying to be as, PC as possible.
I'm going to come out and say they're rewarding failure. They're rewarding inability to perform. Look, it's the same thing. Look, if I'm sitting there and I have, let's say I don't feel it this month, right? I don't feel this month. Hey, you know what? I'm not going to. Amy said that the coach's name, Bella
Carl.
Yeah, Bella
Carl.
Whatever. I can't.
There's an accent on the A.
Yeah, I can barely read it.
Caroli.
If you had a Spanish name, I have no problem doing it.
Bella.
So
Bella was the coach. The coach was a guy. Though.
Yeah,
the guy's name. All right,
it's Russian. Like Valisi.
And I'm not supporting doing it injured, but like she was clawing, like she had if she would have to be pulled off the mat.
Right. And look, I admire that. That. Okay. But what the issue, the main issue that I have is that, like you said, I can't really consider her brave for bowing out. I mean, brave in one way. Hey, she's got to face the scrutiny and everything. Okay, I get that. But I'm talking about, let's not talk about this. I don't even want that to be my focus. The focus is on what transpired. How do you get to that point? Because like the thing is, you can look at these situations, and I'm talking about anything. I'll talk about obesity. Okay, if someone's overweight, well, how'd they get there? They didn't get there overnight. Now, are we talking about this psychological condition? Is this something that has been built up over time? Is it because of maybe this self-actualization, this looking into yourself, being too introspective and so forth? I mean, I'll give an example. And I actually talk about this in my book, Ferocious Fitness. It's funny. I've spoken with this, to other fighters as well. Frank Shamrock. I mean, he's, a very well-known fighter, and we've had these discussions. Brian Ebersol, my buddy, I've had a discussion with him. When you go out there, like when you're about to fight somebody, and this isn't in self-defense. Self-defense, I have no problem. Just boom, you go do it and you're done. But you're fighting someone. You're in physical confrontation with someone. You're trying to punch your fist through their face or kick their ribs, or choke them or something, right? Pick them up, slam on the mat. Okay. It's like you look across, like, God, why am I doing this? It's like you question in your head why you're doing this. Now, if I question that too long, my nose is going to end up on the other side of my head because I'm questioning it too much.
You're not in the moment.
Right. See, this is the thing. I think that maybe these are some of the things that's happening. We used to have a guy on our wrestling team years ago. I mean, he was a very bright guy, super pensive, and he would overthink things and then wind up being behind somebody. Like he would start losing because he didn't pull the trigger. Is this what's going on? Because you have all these, I mean, are they getting over psychologized?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is the thing that I want to talk about. I want to talk about prevention of issues because we're seeing it more and more. We're seeing it with our kids too, just out in the world. Oh, everything's okay. Everything. Well, no, it's not okay because you know what? Like I said before, if I'm not feeling it, I don't want to work this month. I'm not going to pay my mortgage. I'm not going to work to buy food for my kids. How are we going to say that's okay? That's not okay. There's something wrong psychologically. And you know what? I think, I know I'm going to get a little
Here it goes.
Here it comes. I think that too many psychologists can't figure out the root of the problem. Maybe they don't want to because they get these people keep coming to them, that they can't figure out the root of the problem. So they say it's okay. So they say every behavior is acceptable. Think about it, right? And then where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? Do you draw the line at an Olympic competition? Do you draw the line at a kid on the soccer field? Do you draw the line at somebody, fixing their car or not fixing it? I don't want to fix it. I'm not into it. Oh gosh, I can't get out of bed this morning. I want to take a month off. I need this, that, and the other thing. I'm not going to do anything. And you have to address these problems. If these things are really going on, we got to figure out how they're going on and why, and then get to the root and then fix it. Don't say that it's okay. This is my problem. Now, what's going to happen when because the whole thing is when you face adversity. And I talked about my failures. Okay, I talked about my failures. I failed many, many times. Okay, I failed more times than I succeeded. But you know what? Each one of those failures prepared me to succeed. And look, and I'm not alone. I'm just using me as an example because I know me the best because I'm with me all the time. But you talk to anybody that's been successful. I'll bring up Michael Jordan again. Okay. He failed, and it became the greatest of all time. Why? Because he put in the hard work and he wouldn't let it get into his head that he was not good enough.
We get many people that got cut from the high school basketball team would just quit basketball.
Right, exactly.
So, but why is it okay for it's almost like adversity is bad. Just quit.
Right.
And that's okay.
Right. Here's the thing. Now, is it that some of these people, they've never achieved at that level and they don't understand, and so I think it's okay, or do they, or is there like a sabotage thing going on?
But that's going what I'm saying about before with the gold medal, the Olympic medal does not hold the weight. It's like maybe because she won a bunch of medals already. Right. I'm just gonna bow out. But if maybe if it was her first time, would she be more important? Right. You train your whole life to be there.
Right now she's been there, done that.
Yeah.
And now it's expected. Like I said, it's expected of her, but now it's expected of her. So she's got to do the top stuff all the time.
And you're afraid of failure. So
right. That's another thing too. Now, that
and
fear,
kudos to the person. I don't know if you watched this last night. Yeah. Who was the next in line? Who
she did great.
She got a gold medal.
Yeah, I know. She got the gold.
I was rooting for her the entire time. The entire night I was rooting for this girl.
Did you hear her story?
Very little.
Okay. They showed her.
But I was watching all night. Yeah.
They showed
the whole family. Did you see the room? The whole family. The whole town
was there. Did you see the
dad? Not ringing any bells. What happened?
Okay. The father.
Yeah.
Was driving to one of her meets, got in a terrible car accident, became paralyzed. He's paralyzed from the waist down. He can't walk. He's in a wheelchair the rest of his life. And she did it for him.
Wow.
I mean, how awesome is that?
Yeah, I saw they were cutting to her in her backyard at 5 years old, 10 years old on the balance beam and stuff. Yeah. I was rooting for her all night.
He built that for her.
Just came in there. Yeah. And even, I think we won silver in the team, right?
Yeah.
So even the people who, all right, we just lost, because they said that without her, without Simone, anyone, we would get beat straight out. We wouldn't even get a medal. Well, we got second. we got a medal, but they said all you need to do is beat Simone, and you get first. We won't medal, right? So kudos to them, because there's people who probably didn't expect to do the floor mat routine or this routine or that routine, and they just stepped up and so they still got a medal.
See, this is the thing. Now these people stepped up, so now we're supposed to say, what are we supposed to say about that? We're not saying that it's not good, that they stepped up, they faced the adversity, because what they did. Oh yeah,
I got you.
I should have. I did know her name. I just didn't mention it.
All good. All good.
And her dad is Mr. Lee. So, what are we supposed to do with this? Are we supposed to say, oh gosh, we're going to diminish the fact that these people stepped up? Now, what about that? What about her dad who became paralyzed from the waist down? Did he give up? No. Listen, this is the thing is that facing adversity is something that should be heralded. Grinding it out should be heralded. But you know what? A lot of this stuff, it's okay, everything's okay. It's okay to fail. Look, as long as you learn from that failure, look, everybody's going to fail. Don't be afraid to fail. But again, prepare yourself so you give yourself your best chance. You don't want to go into something. Look, I know that I'm not going to try out for the NBA. That's a sure failure. They wouldn't even entertain me. Okay, with good reason. I got zero talent for it. But I don't bother going to do that. I go and I try things that I'm prepared for. And so I would suggest someone goes and try something they're prepared for. They have the skill set for. But don't be afraid of failure. But you don't want to say, whether I do or not. Here, you look at the special forces, right? Look, Dick Marsanko's books. I love them. His favorite book of mine, the initial one, Rogue Warrior. Just incredible book. Failure's not an option. So you know what? Failure's not an option. So you set your mindset for success. Hey, let me ask you something. I tell my people this too all the time, and we're doing self-defense training. Like someone says, "Oh gosh, my arm hurts today. I'm not going to come to class." I'm like, "Why? What if you get mugged? Are you going to say, hey, I'm sorry, mugger, come back in 2 weeks. I sprained my finger?" No. You know what you do? You practice with your hand behind your back. Okay? Because you know what? You're going to have to defend yourself. What are you going to do if you get attacked? Say, oh gosh, my mindset isn't so good today. Come back another time. And you got to deal with it at that time. You have to deal with it. And look, sometimes it's harder than other times. Do you think I feel like every day getting up and doing my workout?
Absolutely not.
No. And what is our workout, Doug?
Oh yeah, let's go it up.
Yeah, we have our squats, our push-ups, sit-ups, bridges, planks, single legs, neck exercises, do all that kind of stuff in the morning, right? Do you think I feel like doing it every single day?
Absolutely not.
No. But it kickstarts my day. All right. And some days I feel like it. Some days I'm like ready to rock and roll. But I say more often than not, I'm ready to roll over in bed and hit the snooze button.
So there's obviously, storylines. Do you think we're being groomed now because instead of focusing on the team that overcome losing their best player, we're focusing on, the person who bowed out? Are we being groomed for complacency?
Yes. This is where I'm going with this, because that is along with certain agendas that are being pushed right now.
We don't have to get into whether she should have quit or not. Like that's on her. It's her mental health. Fine. She should get mental health for that.
I'm 100% in favor of that.
But like the people why aren't we focusing on the girl who stepped up?
Right. I mean, she's the one who, who stepped up and took the bull by the horns and went in there and
got a gold medal.
And got a gold medal. She faced the adversity and won. My issue is this: is that again, I'm going to roll back this, and we're going to discuss this a little bit more. Is that what is being put forth that everything's okay? You know what? Okay, there's a difference between being accepting of someone and saying everything's okay. So what are we going to do? Hey, you know what? Gosh. I was building that bridge. I didn't have it today, so I left a couple of bolts out. And then 5 people died from driving across the bridge. I mean, I know it's an extreme example, but what are we going to accept? Yeah. I mean, there's a thing called standards, a thing called performance. Okay. Are we going to sit there and just be an apathetic society where, no, it's okay if you don't achieve, nobody else did, or, very few people can do it. You're like everybody else, or maybe these people want to do it because they can't do it themselves and they don't see the value in it. It's funny because, I've had quite a bit of contact with a lot of psychologists in my time. for being a dad and having children. Some of them having issues and this, that, and the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a wide array of competency in the arena of psychology. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Some I thought were incredible and great. Others were terrible. Just terrible at what they did, and had no business listening to, guiding, providing advice for anyone, because they provided incorrect information. Okay? So now you roll something else back. You roll something else out here. When you're dealing with human life,
mm-hmm.
and here's where I'm going to get blasted here too.
There you go.
I'm not. If I'm lying, I'm flying.
I'm not on camera, so I'm safe.
if I'm lying, I'm flying. But this is why a lot of the psychological hypotheses
mm-hmm.
or theorems that they consider theorems
mm-hmm.
are kind of scoffed at by some of the people in the medical field,
mm-hmm.
because when you're dealing with human life, you can have a variance p-value of
mm-hmm.
anywhere from 1 to 0.1% would be acceptable, and you can either prove or disprove the null hypothesis when you do your testing on this, right? Of course,
mm-hmm.
you have to have the proper n number, which is your sample size, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the funny thing is that with psychology, so little is known about how the human brain operates,
mm-hmm.
that the acceptable range is like 25%. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So you might as well just flip cards and come up with an answer. Which suit am I going to get?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not an exact science. And there's so many different and I'm saying it. And look, I'm not really breaking bad on them, because blaming the psychologists on this 100% is like blaming the doctors for prescribing opioids when they were taught in school that the opioids,
mm-hmm.
or by the information provided by the pharmaceutical companies, that the opioids were non-addictive, and to prescribe them.
Mm-hmm.
The most thing is to keep people out of pain. And this is what they were taught in the 90s in medical school.
Mm-hmm.
And this was all the information that was put forth, and it was erroneous information. My thing is that, so little is known about how the brain operates. And look, and you could have two people, that they may have had, brought up in the same area, this, that, and the other thing, but you know what? Their experiences shape them differently.
Yeah.
If someone's brought up in an urban area and someone's brought up in a rural area,
mm-hmm.
you're going to have differences in their psyche. So even if they might both be, let's say they're both track and field athletes, right?
Mm-hmm.
They both do the same sport. They both do the 400.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You got one from an urban area, one from a rural area. They may require different type of training mentally. They may,
what drives them is different.
Yeah. What drives is different. And they require different things. And these are all the questions that are raised when you're dealing with psychology. And I think, like, I'm going to go back to this again, because I think they may be over psychologized. Okay. I'm going to frame that word, coin that phrase,
mm-hmm.
over psychologized. And look, when I competed,
mm-hmm.
you know who I wanted talking to me before I competed? No one. I wanted to be left alone. Let me get into my own thoughts. Let me prepare myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't need somebody there buzzing around me, tell me what to do. It's like, if I'm not going to do it by then, I'm not going to do it. And I'll tell you, as a coach, sometimes I made that mistake myself, where I'd be in someone's ear so much. Why? Because I thought I was doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? That sometimes it's not. And everyone's different. Some people need that. Some people like that. But other people don't. Other people don't respond to that well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she was getting the wrong type of psychological work building up to this contest. Mm-hmm. I don't know. We don't know that.
Yeah.
Because, hey, you know what? Her drivers are probably different than Soon Lee's drivers, right?
Well, and she's got all these medals, so they're probably not as important anymore.
That's also another thing too, because she did mention something. Well,
because if it was me, participating in the basketball, there's, you know, you would have to drag me off the court, but that's me, and that's what's important to me. So maybe this isn't important to her.
I mean, you know, I don't know if that were the case and she was like that going into this. Well, maybe she should have bowed out earlier and had somebody else take her place. I don't know. You know, this is still up to discussion. You know, and look, we may find out that she had something wrong with her that was making her not hit the turns properly, not land properly, not stick the vault like she knows how to. But again, I'm not really focusing on her because, again, like we said, you know what? Hey, you know what? This is an incredibly high level athlete, you know, performing on the world stage. You know, if she can't do it, she's going to know better in her heart if she can do it or not. Now, to me, though, you try to do everything to overcome that. And look, I don't know what they did for her. And again, what did they do with her head up to that point? Was there too much introspection? Was there too much psychological manipulation going on? You know, these things, I think, have to be looked at. Obviously, there's something going on, because if you look at the mental state of people right now, it seems like more and more people are having more and more mental issues. Now, of course, you know, we throw COVID into the mix. It's not a great, it's an S storm. Yeah. But you know, even prior to COVID, we saw an increase we've seen an increase in SSRIs. We've seen an increase in mental health issues.
But it's also more light we're putting on it. You put a flashlight and you look for something, you're going to find it.
Right.
So like, if there's more doctors and there are more people looking, obviously more cases are going to show up.
Yeah. Just like, But what is going on with this? Are we looking for these things? Are we trying to find them? Or you know, I mean, there's a lot of things that people just didn't even think about before. Is it because we have more time on our hands? Is it because we
Michael
have more...
Phelps and like Simone, these are like two that are recent, right?
Yes.
We're looking for it now.
Yeah.
Can you recall any of these issues, you know, 20 years ago? No, because they weren't looking for this stuff.
No. See, and this
you got Kyrie Jenner. He was an Olympic athlete, and now he wants to be a female. Yeah, because it's okay. I mean, it's okay. Hey, you know, in this day and age, you can do whatever he wants.
You know what though? He can do whatever he wants whenever he wants. It doesn't affect me. I could care less. Yeah. You know? I mean, it really doesn't.
Yeah. You know. But I'm saying, like, these are things we're looking for now in today's age. Yeah. We weren't looking for them then. So, of course, the numbers and cases are going to be a lot more today than they were 20 years ago when we weren't even looking for this.
You know, you bring up an interesting point there that people, you know, that we're looking for it now. But what is a motivation for people looking for it? You know, like, okay, you know, here's one of the other things. If someone comes to you and you're an orthopedist, okay, and they break their leg. What do you do?
I'm the orthopedist.
Yep.
They break their leg. I'm going to try to fix the leg. Is that
right? Yeah. Fix the leg and then let them go on. Right.
Well, I mean, after leg fixed.
If they're mends, the bone mends, the rehab,
put a cast on.
Right. You try to get them back to normal.
Yes.
Life operation. I don't see that happening in the psychological realm.
Okay.
I see sometimes there are people that are going to a therapist once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, whatever it is, for years.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not getting better. To me, a doctor, therapist, you're supposed to heal them. Okay.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. So, but is that tied into what's going on right now, especially in the case of Simone, right? I don't know. Is this, that's why I'm raising these questions. Do you think that this would cause us to take a look at the methodology being employed? Look, if I were doing a workout and I was training my athletes or my clients and they were getting weaker.
Well, yeah, I think
when I then want to take a step back and say, hey, what I'm showing isn't working. What I'm doing isn't working. You know, do I have to question my methodology here?
Well, I think the way we're not looking at the mind like a muscle.
Yeah.
You're either broken or you're not broken. Where it is a muscle, like you need to train your mind
Absolutely.
and strengthen the mind.
Yes, you bring up exactly what I'm driving at here. I do not think that again, I don't know because I don't know their tactics, but I'm looking at the result. All right. Hey, no. I don't know, if what they're doing is right, but it bodes to be questioned. I mean, the question should be raised. Is what we're doing on the psychological level, on the mental health level, are we using the right tactics? And again, because the mind is so complicated, what works for one person doesn't work for another. Okay? So I think these are the things that have to be looked at. I think that it would behoove the psychology industry to take a step back and say, hey, are what we doing right? Are we doing? Because I'll tell you again, if I wasn't getting my results, and there are times that I've believed in something 100% and then found it's not working and be like, oh man, all right, let me look at this. And I've gone and done different approaches. And I found that with different athletes, okay, I'm just going to take two athletes. Both of them are doing jujitsu, right? One guy is 5'6", 170 pounds. The other guy is 6'1", 170 pounds. Now, there are some things that are going to work for both of them, but are their styles going to be the same? No. I got two different fighters, two different bodies. Yes, they're doing the same sport. Yes, they're the same weight. Maybe they're even the same age, but their body types are so different that I have to train them differently. They're going to have different proclivities. Now, you're going to tell me that people's minds don't vary? Oh gosh, they're incredibly varied. Right? So are we using the right tactics? Are we trying to go too deep into this? Look, if I sat there and I just thought about all of my problems, all the things that happened bad to me, and I let it weigh me down, I mean, what would that do? I'd be frozen. I mean, just think about yourself. Say, or that aren't turning out.
Well, if everything was hunky dory, we wouldn't be sitting here today. There was things that set you on your path. Not everything is just a clear shot, easy pass. No. You learn from your trials and tribulations. Here's another thing, another layer of the onion, right? So, addiction, right? Okay, good. Something just popped up. We're good. Everything's good. We're gonna get a little abstract. There is an herb or a mushroom. We're good. You eat and consume, and it's supposed to, and supposedly wipes your brain clean of these neurological connections. So there's been studies where people eat this herb or mushroom or whatever, and they're not addicted to alcohol or drugs instantly, like overnight. Like it wipes these neurological connections. But we would never look into this because government and pharmaceutical companies will lose too much money on hooking you on these other drugs. So do you think because there's better ways to do things, we don't do them because industries would lose money? That's my point. I know I'm getting far out and psychedelic with because it's a mushroom, but there's better ways to do things, and there's answers to do things, but we won't do it because the pharmaceutical company might lose too much money.
Hey, I mean, I hate to bring COVID up again, but now most people, okay, if you just take everyone under 80, okay, even under 70, whatever. That even actually these are the full numbers though. What percentage of people had extensive comorbidities that died from COVID? What percentage of them?
People who didn't have an underlying condition.
Yeah, out of all the people that died, but what percentage?
0.
No, like 6%.
Okay.
But again, some of these people, okay, but that's a very small number. So most of these people had an average of 94% had an average of 2.6 comorbidities. So you know, what are those comorbidities? All related to sedentary lifestyle and obesity, most of them. Okay. So you know what? You can significantly reduce your risk factors by being the proper weight, getting exercise, eating right. Oh, and almost everyone was vitamin D deficient. Boosting your vitamin D, taking vitamin C, things like this. They're and how often do you hear the government putting forth that information?
Never. I mean,
you don't.
You don't.
You don't. Why? Because they can't make money off it. Is this the same thing? What's going on with the psychological industry? Again, I don't know this. I'm just throwing it out there for question. So if you want to bash me, go ahead. Could care less. But I'm posing it as a question. Is this going on? But I'll tell you, because again, I will bring this back. If I do something and it's not working, I go back and I see, gosh, why is this working? And heck, you know what? Maybe I have a client and one person, this tactic worked great for them. Maybe 10 people, these tactics work great for them to lose weight, get stronger. I got this 11 and 12. The son of a guns, I'm doing the same stuff. It's not working. Gosh, maybe I have to change a tactic. Maybe I have to change a tactic for that person or for those two people. Maybe they have two different tactics going to work for them. It's funny, when trying to teach somebody a kettlebell swing, I use these different cues. And it's funny because the same cues don't work for everybody. Like I have certain cues that work for 90% of the people, but then there's that 10% of the people that it just doesn't work for. I mean, I'm not going to recommend this, but I had to do this once. I'm teaching a seminar and I'm trying to get this guy to pull his hips back for his kettlebell swing. I'm giving every hint. I'm like, like your chair too far back. You got a tiger tail pulling on, blah, 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 blah. Right. He didn't get it. You know what I did?
Good job.
I threw a front kick at his groin. He pulled his hips back. I go, there you go. Okay. So, that worked. Okay. I'm not going to recommend that, but but as a different tactic. Now, I've trained literally thousands of people to swing a kettlebell. And all my cues always worked except for this one guy. Okay. So maybe we have to look at what's going on here in the field of psychology and say, you know what? Maybe some of these tactics we're employing don't work. Or maybe we can find something that works better. Okay. And it doesn't reside in drugs. Okay. I'm a big believer in positive cognitive therapy. I think that works. Imagery, positive imagery. Okay. And then, times you do need to compartmentalize things at certain points in time. Because you know what? You can't be sitting there and be thinking about argument you have with your girlfriend when you have a tennis match to play, right? How are you going to do? You're not going to do well. So what I think that we may have to look at how to get the maximum performance out of someone. It's easy when everything's going well, but how about when things are going hard? Okay, when things are difficult, we need to roll back and look at that and say, hey, how can we fix this? How can we address this? And, I think that a lot of people in the psychology field need to go and meet with athletes from different sports. I mean, I'm sure they do this to a level, but something's not working. Something is not working to have these mental health issues that keep mounting and mounting and mounting. And I'll tell you, I think it starts from a young age. I'll tell you, like with my kids, when they've fallen, gotten hurt, look, as a parent, as a dad, you don't want your kid to cry. You want to be hurt. You want to scoop them up. Oh, I love you. Everything be all right. Be all right. It's the worst thing you can do. I mean, obviously the leg's broken or something. They fall, they scrape their knee. I mean, okay, come on, you'll be fine. Let's go. Let's clean it up. Let's go. Get back out there. That's the thing that I see right now is that toughness is not being taught
or rewarded.
Yeah, grit is not being taught. And I'm going to give an example. One time, we're going. When I got divorced, my two older kids are very full grown now, And my daughter was in doing in track, and she was doing she was like 7 years old. She's doing a race walk or long distance run, whatever it was, and she was so determined. She was, and I think she was getting a little cramp, but she pushed through it. She's like 7 or 8 years old, and she did very well in it, and she made it through the end. And I was so proud of her. And I'm sitting there with the psychologist, and and with the meeting with her, and I was like talking about, God, I was so proud of her. He says, well, maybe she should have given up on it. Oh, because if it hurt her and she pushed through, I'm like, no. I go, she showed determination and grit. She showed stick-to-itiveness. She was not going to fail. She was going to prevail. Okay. And yet the therapist thought it was better for her to fail than to prevail. I don't think that way. And then, of course, again, this is one of the psychologists that I wound up, not using anymore because okay, it's, when things get tough, you got to push through. Right? The saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. What has happened to that? I'm talking about what has happened to on a societal level. Because if you look at the tenets of grit, perseverance, stick-to-itiveness, things of that nature, they're all being looked at as not good, as not positive, as okay, it's okay to fail, it's all right, it's all right.
Which is fine when you're in America. Yeah, we'll patch in the back, whatever. What happens when Russia and China come knocking? And
see, this is the thing that we're talking about, right?
What happens when, you know what I mean?
Oh,
yeah, it's fine when we're here in Wyckoff, New Jersey, or Hocus or Allendale. Yeah, it's fine.
It's okay.
Okay, it's fine. Like whatever, life moves on. But what happens when Russia and China, I don't know.
Or what happens when someone invades your house?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Let's say, what if someone grabs you by the back of the neck when you go into your car after shopping? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly.
These are the things that that we have to consider. I mean, look what happened to the Roman Empire. I mean, the Roman Empire had control over the world for what, 400 or 500 years, something. And they had control over most of the world. The sun didn't set on it. Same thing with the British Empire at one point too. But how quickly did it fall apart? And the Roman society brought so many great things to us, right? And yet they got soft, they got complacent, they went like we're going right now. People need to read history, see what goes on, because history repeats itself, especially when we don't learn from it. That's why it's important to learn history, real history, not suppositions. And I just see that we're setting ourselves up. We're setting ourselves up for failure as humans, as a country. So.
Yeah.
So, what can we do about that? Well, you know what? I could say, don't accept failure. Okay. Pick yourself up, find a way to muscle through it. Find a way to persevere, find a way to become successful. Or, maybe that particular thing isn't for you, so move on to something else. Maybe it's going to help you find something that you're better suited to. But I think that we really need to, psychologists should take a step back and say, gosh, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and has the dynamics of society worked? Because, heck, things that worked 20, 30 years ago, maybe they're not applicable now. So maybe we have to rethink what's going on there and say, hey, you know what? Here we got these different things that have always worked. Oh, it's not working anymore. What's changed? Right? So that's also something that bodes exploration. But You know, and you know what? If anybody wants to hit me up after this, if you didn't have the opportunity to watch us live, feel free. I'd love to engage you and then maybe have you on as a guest. Okay? But before we close out today, I'd like to thank our sponsors again. Okay? Again, check the sponsors out in our comments section. And the Tactical Brotherhood, we have the link for them right here. Make sure to use the particular link that we're putting out there. Dragon Door, also use the link that we're providing in the comments. And then the Body Bell Method, we have the ACE and NASM certifications. And we have 2 certifications coming up. We also have the Secrets of the Kettlebell.
Yes.
I have those workshops as well to be booked. And go to philross.com, training for in-personal and virtual training. And of course, we have the SAS training group providing training for law enforcement as well as civilians. Okay. So,
yeah.
All right. That's this
very interesting episode.
Yeah, interesting episode today, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see what we get here. And guys, thank you for tuning in. This is Master Phil with Master Phil in your corner. Strength and honor.